week 3 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers this week. The first receiver, Dontayvion Wicks of the Green Bay Packers. So Dontayvion Wicks, he's someone to definitely keep an eye on. A lot of people ran to the wire this week. They got Romeo Doubs. Obviously, Matthew Golden, he's pretty much owned in all the leagues. But Wicks, a forgotten guy, I believe, in this offense. And last week versus Washington, he got targeted earlier, and him and Love just missed on a touchdown. And the other thing with Love, we know he likes spreading that football out to all his wideouts and tight ends. Week 1 versus Detroit, 2 catches, 30 yards. And week 2 versus the Commanders, 4 catches, 44 yards on 6 targets. So Dontayvion Wicks, he's a wide receiver. We've seen some flash games out of him on and off over the last couple of years. And now, obviously, with Jaden Reed out 6 to 8 weeks and Matthew Golden not producing yet, I think it's a golden opportunity for Wicks, who could be a breakout this week. And then a guy on the waiver wire that you got to use fab money or hope you got a good waiver to get him on your team. So this could be a week before he breaks out his Wicks. And this week in a good matchup at Cleveland, he's definitely a wide receiver who's surprisingly out there. 98% of fantasy leagues is a sleeper this week. The next receiver, Dami Brown of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dami Brown, it was a good signing in the offseason from Washington for this Jaguar team. Available 95% of fantasy leagues. Had a good impact the first 2 weeks. Week 1 versus the Panthers, 3 catches, 52 yards. And then last week at Cincinnati in week 2, 5 catches, 57 yards, a touchdown, and 9 rushing yards on 1 attempt in that one on 7 targets. Dami Brown, they're using him a lot in 3 receiver sets. He's a speed wide receiver, could stretch the field, burn a secondary out of the slot. And him and Trevor Lawrence have been hitting. And the funny thing is Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter haven't done much. So this week in a matchup versus Houston, where they got a good secondary, no doubt about it, I still think Dami Brown in deeper leagues could be a decent sleeper option for owners this week. And the final receiver I have as sleepers, Hunter Renfrow of the Carolina Panthers. So Renfrow, a name you haven't heard in a few seasons in fantasy football circles. But last week, he had a resurgence ball game at Arizona. 7 catches, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns on 9 targets. I know it was garbage time with those touchdowns. And in week 1 at Jacksonville, he didn't do much. 2 catches, 11 yards, 6 targets. But he's playing in the slot. He's playing in the 3 wide receiver sets. And besides Tatora McMillan, there's no one else as a big threat in this offense for this Carolina Panther team in terms in the receiving game or at the tight end position. I know Hubbard's a solid running back, but they're looking for a second guy to emerge as the second top target in this offense. Xavier Legette, I don't think he's a good wide receiver. And Jalen Coker on IR, a couple more games at minimum. So Hunter Renfrow, after coming off a breakout game and out there in 96% of fantasy leagues and on a team that's going to throw the football a whole lot, he's definitely a wide receiver that could be a sleeper option this week for fantasy owners. That's a few receivers I have as sleepers for week 3 of the fantasy football season.